It's draft night, baby. And I have got the perfect draft idea for the Phoenix Suns. There are a few guys I like in this draft. I like Khaman Maluach, although it doesn't shoot the three ball particularly well. He only shot 35% of them in college. But that is a tough SOB with a pretty good ability to pass the ball and handles the ball pretty well. The issue is with Khaman Maluach is he's 6'7". I like his ability down low to bang and bash around even with guys a little bit bigger than him. But if he's not as big and he can't shoot the three ball, where does he play? Is he a 3? Is he a 4? Is he a 5? I like Khaman Maluach. If they come away with him, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to be pretty excited about it. Cedric Coward. I will judge you based on your age. My guy Brendan Clean of Locked On Phoenix Suns, he loves Cedric Coward. He's not going to judge you based on your age. I'm going to because he's 22 years old. Now, one of the better shooters in the draft, I think he was 40% from 3 if I'm not mistaken. Good defender, not super big, but big enough to play the wing. I like Cedric Coward. Genuinely, if they come away with Cedric Coward in this draft, I get it. You wanted to hit a guy with a low bust potential, but maybe not an insanely high floor. I like my guy Mark, where my guy's head Mark Brooks is at. Derek Queen. I like Derek Queen. Good handle. I don't think he's lazy on defense, but I don't think he's going to be an elite defender. Here's the problem with him. He's a bit of a tweener. I'm not sure what he is, a 4 or a 5. He, to me, feels like a much more polished Oso Ighodaro. And so with that, I just kind of think the Suns already have that. It's a bit redundant to what they already have. I think there is one option tonight for the Suns that if this happens, this is the perfect scenario for the Phoenix Suns tonight. And it's exactly who I would be rooting for them to draft. If Khaman Maluach, I hope I'm saying that name correctly, I believe I am, falls to number 10, the Phoenix Suns need to sprint to put in their draft pick and make that guy a Phoenix Sun. His ability to catch a lob and be uber athletic. He's not much of a shooter. I get it. But I like his ability to get cheap points around the basket. Uber athletic, 18 years old, could potentially turn into something even more down the line. That guy has got superstar potential. Now, he has to make it to the Phoenix Suns, which I'm very skeptical of. But because of defense, because of athleticism, I believe he is a future defensive player of the year in and year out candidate. And I like his ability to rebound the basketball. And you say to yourself, well, shouldn't every player be able to rebound the basketball? No. The Suns were a god-awful offensive and defensive rebounding team, period. They were a terrible defensive. The Phoenix Suns were a terrible rebounding team, period. But an even worse offensive rebounding team at times as well. How many times were teams getting second, third, fourth, and fifth chances on the offensive side of the ball? I think Maluach helps that ability to rebound the basketball. He's a 7'2" player, every bit of that. I just want to be sure I'm getting his height exactly correct. I know I had him down here in my notes, but he's a 7-foot player with a 7'6" wingspan. He is an incredible lob threat where if you throw it anywhere around the basket, his pure athleticism is going to bring it down and jam it. He is a defensive anchor that I believe has the potential of being a defensive player of the year in and year out candidate with insane upside. I like him so much for the Suns, especially to help fill the holes defensively. If you're talking about a defense that a starting lineup it contends with Dylan Brooks, Ryan Dunn, and Khaman Maluach, you are talking about a future suffocating defense, and it helps you hide Devin Booker and Jalen Green's deficiencies just a little bit more. Because of the lob threat, because of the defensive upside, he is the perfect pick at number 10 if he falls to the Phoenix Suns. And if he gets there, then you sprint up to the podium and make the selection. Now it makes 29 very interesting. This wouldn't be my first player off the board at 29. But because the Suns solved what I believe and is perceived to be their biggest issue right now, the center position, if you could come away with Drake Powell in this draft, someone who shot the three ball particularly well, although not on many attempts, insane vertical, insane athlete, and I believe his defense is going to translate at a better level for the Phoenix Suns. He'll be able to switch on to a bunch of different guys, on-ball defense. He is your prototypical 3-and-D player. He's not going to create his own shot using pure athleticism. He's not a playmaker, but he can shoot the three ball at a 37% clip in college, has a 43-inch vertical, and that's what the Suns need to do. They need to focus on filling holes and getting pure athletes. And if you add Drake Powell to that mold, a prototypical 3-and-D player, that right there would be the perfect pick out of North Carolina at number 29. And if I'm being honest with you, my guy Brendan brought this up yesterday. I don't really know what the difference is between Carter Bryant and Drake Powell. Again, this isn't a thought from me. This is a thought that, again, I thought of in my head, but Brendan said out loud during our show yesterday. Carter Bryant, who I know a lot of Phoenix Suns fans like, it turns out he might be a little bit shorter than was said at the draft combine. Drake Powell is a pure 6'7", 6'6" player with a 7-foot wingspan. He shoots the ball better than Carter Bryant did in college. And you kind of wonder why Carter Bryant never really played. He was coming off the bench. He wasn't trusted in big spots. Drake Powell, I think this is going to be someone that falls to 29 because he just doesn't have the hype of a guy like Carter Bryant. He is effective at the rim. He has got an insane wingspan. And he is an athlete. And he's one of the few 3-and-D players that can actually shoot the ball. Not in an insane clip, but he will knock down open three-point shots. And what this Suns team needs is if you can get a defensive player with some offensive upside, you make that happen right then, right there. So that would be my perfect draft night scenario. Perfect. Khaman Maluach at 10 if he falls, and then Drake Powell to solidify the wing position at 29. I would be so ecstatic if that's what the Suns came away with tonight. Because you're talking about a defensive stopper with pure athleticism around the rim to get you cheap buckets, and a 3-and-D wing who I believe is overlooked and is only 19 years old with a ton of room to grow. A pure 3-and-D wing. He's actually a really good on-ball defender and can actually shoot the three ball and has really good athleticism. Now, let's call it what it is. The Phoenix Suns, I guess I should say, and that would be my perfect draft night scenario. But let's call it what it is. That right there, it might not happen. That is a fairly lucky scenario for Khaman Maluach and Drake Powell just to fall in the laps of the Phoenix Suns. So let me give you a couple of other guys who I would be rooting for in this instance. If Cullen Murray Boyles fell to 10, I think that would be my number one draft pick. For a lot of the reasons I said before, playmaking, big body, and in the rim, just a tough-as-nails player that could get things done around the post. The Suns had so much trouble in the painted area, and they had so much trouble rebounding last year. He could help with that. I believe he's a high-floor guy. Number two on that, or another player on that list, I would take a flyer on Carter Bryant. I know I just talked about I'm not really sure the difference, but I do, like, in this part of my career, I have some sourcing, like, not in terms of, like, breaking news, in terms of, like, what do players who cover that team think of Carter Bryant? And I've talked to a few different people I respect. They all speak very highly of Carter Bryant. And so, although I compared him to Drake Powell, and I'm not really too sure what the massive comparison is there, I do think Carter Bryant could serve a purpose in the NBA. So I like him as well at 10. But ultimately, if the Suns could trade back, the Oklahoma City Thunder give up a pick or two. Like, let's say the Oklahoma City Thunder give up pick 24 and 15 to the Suns for number 10. I would do that to have more swings at the bat. And then I feel much more comfortable taking Carter Bryant there. As well as Cedric Howard. Here's the most important mold that I'm trying to pick for the Suns. Because I believe the Kevin Durant trade was so horrid, it makes this pick so much pressure to get it right today. So one of the reasons why I like Cedric Howard out of Washington State, a guy who rejected an offer to Duke to come to the NBA draft, is because good defender and shoots the three ball well. Little bit older, upside might not be there as much as I thought it was going to be with other players, but I know he's going to hit his floor. And I know his potential is maybe the fourth best player on a championship winning team, but probably like the fifth or sixth best player. And I can live with that. What I can't live with is a bust. So I like Cedric Howard too. If the Suns take a wing at the 10th overall spot, at the 29th overall spot, I'm looking at a guy like Maxime Reynaud. I'm not a huge fan of Maxime Reynaud, but he's one of the few bigs that can shoot the three ball effectively in terms of he is a stretch five. Defensively, he's not great. Gonna be honest with you, it's not great. But I like the fact that he's aggressive at the basket, meaning he will put the ball on the ground and get to the basket and score. Fairly good at the rim. Again, cheap buckets. I like that for the Phoenix Suns. But because of his stretch five ability, and at the 29th overall pick, I'm willing to take a little bit of a risk because I believe at 10 that they will be getting a wing with a high upside. I do like Maxime Reynaud here. Also, Adu Fierro from Arkansas. Freaking athlete. I really like that. Fast, good first step, slasher, good finisher. 63% of his field goals came at the rim. Really good defender. And one of the things I like about him is he just tries really, really hard. And the Suns didn't have enough of those guys last year. And again, at the 10 pick, at the 10 pick, I think we're going to get someone with a little bit of a higher floor. So I'm willing to take a risk at 29 just a little bit more. He's got to work on his three-point shooting. And that seriously has to get fixed. I hate his shot. But at the 29th overall pick, if I can get a freak athlete who just tries really, really hard, who I believe will get in the gym and work on the jumper just a little bit more, I'm willing to take that risk there. But those are some of those guys in the chat. What's the love affair with Bryant? He's Richard Jefferson. Would you ask Jefferson to play power forward? LOL, just silly. I think you just showed up late because Carter Bryant is not my first option at the 10 spot. If we're talking about like just rankings, I'd rather Maluach, Khaman Maluach Boyles, and it's really close between Cedric Howard and Carter Bryant. But Carter Bryant's a little bit younger. with, I think, a little bit more upside, so I would go with him.